Hello, everyone. I see that we already have a few people joining us. We're going to be starting in just a few minutes, but we want to give all of our attendees some time to join. So please be patient, and we'll be up and running in just a few. Thank you. Hello, we are going to start now. Good afternoon, and welcome to Google for Education presents Chromebooks and SOL testing. In this webinar, you're going to hear from the Google for Education team and from Frederick County Public Schools. Thank you so much for joining us. We are extremely excited to spend this time with you to share a little bit about what's happening with Google for Education and to hear from Frederick County. It's my pleasure to introduce you to the Google for Education Team Virginia. Team Virginia is composed of 3 individuals. My name is Drew Seidel on the far left, and joining me, my counterparts in the state are Iris Valle and Brent Sarver. We're all out of the Google New York office. If you're ever in New York City, please drop us a line. And we come down to Virginia very often to work with our districts and represent Google for Education. And a little bit about what my team and I do. We have a few different pieces that make up our role. One is things like this to help spread awareness of what's happening with Google for Education. But our favorite part of the day is when we get to work with districts one-on-one when they're choosing or thinking of choosing to utilize Google for Education. So that would be anything like Google Apps for Education, Chromebooks, and our new and exciting programs like Expeditions. So if you are interested in any of these things, please feel free to reach out to us, and we would love to work with you and help support any of your initiatives. And now it's my pleasure to introduce the Frederick County Public Schools of Virginia team.
Well, thanks, Drew. We're happy to be here with you today and give you an idea, a snapshot of our experiences in the work that we do. My name is Glenn Moreland. I'm the Assistant Director of Instructional Technology, and I'm going to just work around the table.
Michael Procyse. I'm one of the network engineers here.
I'm Ken Meldikoff. I'm Assistant Director of Technical Services.
Rob Yost, and I'm the Director of Technology.
And together we'll be sharing our story of where we are with the use of Chromebooks and preparing for the use of Chromebooks in the classrooms for testing.
Amazing, thank you. And you'll be hearing a little bit more from the Frederick County Schools team in just a few minutes. If you would like to spread the word that you're joining Google for Education today in this webinar, please do so. I would encourage you to use the Google for Education official hashtag, which is #GoogleEDU. And if you would like to follow my teammate or me on Twitter, here you can see our handles. Brent Sarver is at Google Sarver. And to follow Drew Seidel, it's at Google Seidel. So please do shout out to the world that you're spending this time together today with us. We have a collaborative doc for this webinar today, so I would encourage everyone, please do type this into your browser. It's case sensitive, and with this, you're going to have edit access to this document. I'm going to leave this up for a moment, so please do type this into Chrome. And I see we have some individuals joining already. We're going to be using this for a few different things throughout the day. One, this is going to be a forum for our Q&A. And the reason that we're using this for our Q&A is that we can use this doc even after this webinar is over. So if you leave your name and your email and your question, either Frederick County or the Google for Education team will be sure to answer your question and include resources right there for you. Also, anything that we're talking about today from the Google for Education perspective, and Frederick County will be adding some resources as well, we're putting into this document. So if you see something today that really inspires you and that you'd like to take back to your district, you can do that using this shared document. So please feel free to share this with your teams and to continue using even after today. Here's the agenda that we're going to be covering. First, you'll have a quick update from Google for Education, and then Frederick County will do their introductions and share a little bit about their journey. Next, they'll discuss preparing for SOL with Chromebooks. They will share how to administer SOL with Chromebooks. We'll discuss into more detail why to test on Chromebooks and what the outcomes look like, and then we'll have some time for Q&A from our attendees. And that Q&A will be facilitated by me, and we'll be using the questions that you ask in that shared document. So throughout this, please do ask your questions there. To start us off, I thought we would celebrate something, so let's talk about some great news for the state of Virginia. As I'm sure many of you have already seen the announcement from Stephen R. Staples, the Superintendent of Public Instruction for the Commonwealth of Virginia Department of Education, due to the recent technology industry changes, all online SOL tests will be transitioned to TestNav 8 test delivery software during the 2016-2017 school year. And what this means is that SOL tests will all now be compatible with Chromebooks this next school year. We're extremely excited about this announcement. I know it's been a long time coming. And from today, you will be very well prepared to use Chromebooks with this testing in your own organization. And the good news just keeps on coming. So I wanted to share another very exciting announcement from Google for Education. And this is that Google recently acquired Synergize. And Frederick County is actually going to be speaking about Synergize in more detail because they have used it very successfully for some time now. What Synergize is robust Google Apps training. And this had been a paid resource. And since the acquisition, it is now free for all Google Apps users. This includes Google Apps for Work and Google Apps for Education. It's on demand and covers all of Google Apps for Education, including Classroom. Synergize is a great complement to existing Google Apps training that you can access via our online training center that is linked in the shared doc as well. And if you would like to start using Synergize for your educators, for your students, you can do so today. You can install the Chrome extension. The instructions to do that are in our shared document, and you can give that to all of the users that you would like via the admin console. And there's a support article linked in our shared document that will go step by step through that process with you. So we are extremely excited about this, and you'll get to hear a little bit more about what it looks like in action from the Frederick County team. And I want to share a little bit about what Google for Education is all about and why we do what we do, why we build the tools that we build. When I think of Google for Education, there are two big things that come to mind as far as what we're doing. One is Google's trying to make the best tools possible in the world to help to transform teaching and learning to prepare students for this 21st century world. And so they can go and be the next great employees, be the next great entrepreneurs, and be the people that change the world for the better. Also, we're looking to enable kids to create with technology. And creation is something that we truly value at Google. And when we're building our tools, this is something that's always in our minds. How are we enabling students to better create? When I look at Google for Education, I've seen this on my time with the team, there have been phases. When Google first came around, we were organizing the world's information and making it universally accessible and useful. This was happening through Google Search. And although Google Search wasn't inherently about education, it was being used in education every day. And it was amazing to see the things that were happening once students had the power of search, and they were able to access every library in the world and take more ownership of finding answers to the questions. And then in the second phase, this is when Google Apps for Education came. And in this phase, we were creating school versions of consumer tools, things like Gmail, Docs, Slides, and Sheets. And in the third phase, and this was very, very exciting for us, we started designing tools specifically for learning and made for the classroom. Google Classroom is a perfect example of this. And we're continuing that to this day. But today, and this is the most exciting phase in my opinion, is now we're into the space of moonshots, where Google for Education is really pushing to build tools to make things better and to do things a little differently in education. And these projects include things like Google Expeditions, to take students on field trips to places where students can't go through virtual reality, or Google CS First, which is free online computer science curriculum that you can use for all of your students. And Google Apps for Education has been an amazing force. Today, there are over 55 million students, teachers, and staff that use Google Apps for Education. This is something that we are so, so proud of, and we want to continue to grow with what our tools are doing for users. And today in the United States, apart from just K-12, thinking of higher education, over 80 of the top 100 colleges and universities are Google Apps institutions, and 7 of the 8 Ivy Leagues are also Google Apps for Education institutions. So the same tools that you're using with your students in your classrooms are the same tools that they use at Harvard and at Stanford. Apart from Google Apps, a big focus for us as well is Chromebooks. So now I'm going to give you a little bit of information about what is a Chromebook and what sets a Chromebook apart from other traditional computer. One is that Chromebooks are designed for learning, and they are made for classroom use. Regardless of what Chromebook you choose for your school, they're going to be lightweight and durable and designed for students. Chromebooks are guaranteed to boot up in less than 10 seconds, and the battery will last at least the whole school day. And when we're working with our manufacturing partners, we're making sure that the Chromebooks are designed to be simple, affordable, secure, and shareable. There are 4 big key differentiators when we're thinking about Chromebooks. And Frederick County will be talking about some of these as well. The first is that Chromebooks are simple. You do not need any training to get started with Chromebooks for your teachers or your students. You open the lid, the device is on. And they're also very, very simple to manage. So whether you're managing a set of 10 Chromebooks in a classroom or a set of 10,000 Chromebooks across your school district or across your organization, the management of them feels the same. If you want to push out an app or an extension to some of your users or to all of your users, it's just a few clicks of a button. If you want to put them into public session mode to get started with state testing, that's just a few clicks of a button. And once state testing is over, you go online, a few more clicks, and those devices are ready for classroom use again. Chromebooks are also very affordable. And when we're thinking about the true economic value of Chromebooks for educational institutions, it's not just that the hardware is low cost for that initial capital investment. We're also thinking about the total cost of ownership, taking into account things like time to manage, software needed to avoid viruses, etc. And we've run some numbers, and the numbers are truly amazing to see. we actually hired the IDC to do some research about what is the economic value of Chromebooks for schools, and the numbers have been awesome. Some of the findings include things like 75% less time needed to apply and manage security, 91% fewer reboots, 93% faster deployments, and overall 61% lower total cost of ownership. And for school districts thinking at scale, thousands of devices, we know that this can make a big difference. Another piece is that Chromebooks are secure. Google will actually pay you $100,000 if you can hack a Chromebook. You can look this up if you would like. Chromebooks are the most secure device on the market today. They have not been hacked yet, and we are constantly updating them to make them more and more secure. Another piece is that Chromebooks are perfect for sharing with students. Any student can pick up any Chromebook and sign in with their Google Apps for Education account, and they have a personalized learning environment. And this is actually how we work at Google as well. If you leave your computer at home or you break your computer, we have sets of Chromebooks in the office. You pick up a Chromebook, sign in, and it's just like the computer that you use every day. For sharing, if you're not a true one-to-one, Chromebooks really are the perfect device. And one other piece about Chromebooks is that we don't think that it's one size fits all for every student or for every classroom. But we work with a wide array of manufacturers to make sure that you can find the Chromebook that's right for your school. Chromebooks come in a wide range of shapes. Some Chromebooks are just like traditional laptops. Others can flip 180 degrees to become convertible like tablets. And more Chromebooks are becoming available with touch as well. There are lots and lots of different sizes when it comes to Chromebooks. So for younger students, they're smaller screens, oftentimes 10 or 11 inches. And if you're looking at devices for some of your administrators or your teachers, maybe they need a little bit more real estate. There are Chromebooks up to size 15-inch as far as the screen. And for price points as well. The lowest cost Chromebook starts at $149. And now we're seeing our manufacturers producing more and more enterprise level Chromebooks. So the example here is the Dell 13-inch, and this starts around $629, and that has touch as well. And we're seeing there's a big push in the market to have these really high quality Chromebooks, which is very exciting for us. And now it's moving beyond even Chromebooks to things like Chromebits. A Chromebit is very, very small. It's a small little USB stick, and you can plug that into any screen and turn that into a Chromebook. Really, really phenomenal. We're seeing these being used to convert old labs into Chrome, or they're also very widely used in digital signage. So that's a little bit of an update on how Chromebooks are as far as the manufacturing. Now I'm going to share with you a little bit of how Chromebooks are taking off in schools. So this should give you an
Yes.
Sorry about that. I think we had a little network lapse within our office, and I was kicked out. Apologies. So I can, if it's okay, I'll just pick up where I left off. So as I was discussing, we were talking a little bit about Chromebooks and how we've seen this grow in the market in education. And back in 2012, we were actually less than 1% of the market as far as Chromebooks compared to other devices in classrooms. And that has grown continuously to the point where in 2015, over half of devices deployed in classrooms were Chromebooks. And this is something that we are just amazed by and very, very proud of. And to give you an idea of some of the numbers, Chromebooks are now the #1 selling device in US K-12 schools. More Chromebooks are sold than all of their devices combined. Thinking about the scale of this, over 30,000 Chromebooks are activated in education every day, and 10 million plus students worldwide are using Chromebooks. We've seen this grow continuously, and more partners are now wanting to work with us and build devices for the classroom. And today, there are over 13 manufacturers like Acer, Asus, Dell, HP, Lenovo, Samsung, etc., that are producing Chromebooks for the classroom. And now it's my pleasure to hand it off to the Frederick County team.
All right. Thanks, Drew. I appreciate the introduction. First, we want to give you a little information about Frederick County, and I'm going to share my screen because right now you should be seeing us, and if not, we're going to move to that. But I'm going to share a little bit about our school division and where we are with our work. All right. Frederick County is the 19th largest of 134 school divisions in Virginia. Approximately 13,000 students at 18 schools and 2 learning centers. Of those 18 schools, 3 high schools, 4 middle schools, 11 elementary schools, and then we have 2 learning centers. So what is our story? And that's usually where we start with any project. What is going to be our story? Well, our story began, as you see, in 2010, 2011. One thing we've learned in this process is to go slow to go fast. It requires a lot of planning along the way, and it requires a lot of people, not just IT folks, instructional, and at all levels, special education departments, instructional services, a lot of different departments to make it happen. In 2010, 2011, we began using Google Apps in the work. We were developing our division technology plan, and we needed a way that we could collaborate and work on documents together when we couldn't be together. So those tools were very, very helpful. And from that, we realized the potential and the power of Google. So we got our own domain so that we could begin to have our own sort of closed-in garden, or a way that we could manage our work, and also as we began to look at expanding, how we could expand it out. Then the Chromebook came. And it was a tool that we were so glad to see, and I think all school divisions were, in that it was a way to put technology in the hands of our students at a reasonable price. And that was key, to go one-to-one. So we began with small pilots, because another thing we learned is it's not just the tool that's going to make it happen. It's the teaching and the instruction that goes on in the classroom. So we began with small pilots and received feedback from students, teachers, and parents, and realize the potential of the engagement in the classrooms and how our students would benefit. So in 2013-14, then we went one-to-one at one whole grade level of school. So that's 90 students, each having a Chromebook assigned to them for the day. Now, Drew mentioned about the training piece. So we hand the Chromebooks to teachers and students, but we don't have a large staff to do the training. So we learned about a tool called Synergize. And this was prior to Google inheriting that program, that app. And we found it to be an extremely valuable tool. The reason being, when a teacher was in a Google Doc or Google Slides or any of those applications, they were able to get the embedded training within that document. So they could click on the icon, drop it down, and it would give them an interactive video on how to do certain tasks within it. and it's anytime, any place type training. So that was a tremendous help to us as teachers and students needed help along the way. So from 2013-14, we expanded even more. We went one-to-one Chromebook initiative with all 6th grade students at all middle schools. Again, we had 5th grade then involved as well, and we began a tablet pilot in kindergarten. And as you see on the right, one of our students was definitely engaged in the use of that tablet. So we had to find different tools, as Drew said, within Chrome and Chromebooks that could accommodate the different learners and the different ages. So with that 6th grade one-to-one, again, they were allowed then to take them home. So that was a new piece that we needed to look at, because from talking to our students and staff and parents, having access at home was another key component to this. So with the success of the 6th grade pilot, then we moved to a one-to-one 3rd through 8th, and that's where we are right now, with 6th through 8th grade getting to take them home. Again, it expanded the use of those Chromebooks. The beauty of going slow to go fast and a little bit at a time is it gave our teachers time to learn to use the Google Apps for Education. It wasn't completely dependent on that Chromebook, but it gave them an opportunity to learn to use the tools prior to getting the Chromebooks. So what does our future look like in terms of our story? And hopefully it's a story that never ends. 2016-17, we will be adding Chromebooks 9th through 12th grade. So the one-to-one will then, as you see, will be grades 3 through 12. A huge undertaking, but in the direction that we're heading and the ability to give access to technology to our students and the ability to individualize or personalize instruction has been a key component to that. So we're going to have Ken Melikoff tell us about the infrastructure, and the part that I'm sure you're waiting for is, so what about testing? So Ken's going to tell us a little bit about that.
Hi, I'm Ken Melikoff, Assistant Director here at Frederick County, and the part that I wanted to talk about is basically we started early understanding about going to one-to-one and the infrastructure challenges that presents. Starting early in budgeting and balancing of getting equipment throughout a 2-year process was important. We planned for about 2 years to improve the infrastructure of our department when it comes to core switches, heading switches, and also the complete wireless network. We did start with being able to go 10 gig between all of our buildings. That was really important just to make sure our bandwidth was going to be sufficient. And then we got 1 gig all the way to our desktops. After that, we slowly went from a slower internet or a smaller internet connection, and this year we'll be going up to 1.5 gig internet connection to handle not only SOL testing, but also the close to 12,000 Chromebooks we're going to be putting in our students' hands. The next section will be our wireless network, which obviously I know most of you may actually have questions on wireless. I think it's important to remember that we started about 3 years ago with a company called Ruckus to build our wireless network, knowing that it would have to be scalable. Ruckus, we worked very close with Ruckus in how we test our network and also how we determine the strength of our network in different parts of our building. By doing the testing on a constant basis, we were able to know not only where to add APs, but also where high-density APs were needed to provide the best wireless network in certain areas of the building. When it comes to testing, we'll have certain areas of the building that could possibly have 500 wireless devices fighting over APs. So going to high-density APs was a must for us. So we talk about our future in SOL testing here at Frederick County, and I would say that the biggest thing we're going to do is perform load testing on our network. There's a large chance that this summer we will have 2,000 to 3,000 devices, testing, practice testing for SOLs, not only so we can test our network, but we can talk with our testing company, Pearson, if we do have problems, what we can do to fix those before our fall testing even starts. So that's my part. I think we're going to go to Mike. And I can answer questions later if you fill out the form about our wireless network.
All right, Drew, I think we're ready to share Mike's section.
We can go to the next slide. So
Great.
I'm
So now I am sharing Michael's screen, so everyone should be able to see this.
Hello, I'm Mike Precise again, network engineer. What I'll be doing is going through what we actually have done so far to configure our devices for testing this fall. First, TestNav 8 being one of the simplest app pushes I've ever done. Very simple to install. There's more to it than that, of course, but I'll go through that. Now, we are not using the single app kiosk mode in our environment because we do want to be able to use our devices right up until the point of testing. So what we're using is the app tray, and I do have a picture of the slide, which I can show you in a few minutes of what our app tray looks like. So the students can launch TestNav 8 while still using their devices normally during the school day until it is actually testing time. So in order to configure that, I was asked to just kind of show you where this is really quickly. First, you'll see the familiar Google admin console here. And in order to push the app out to the Chromebooks, and we do have this pushed out for every Chromebook in our district, including administration and that sort of thing. So you log into the admin console and go to device management. And we'll just wait for the screens to catch up here. And once in there, you'll go to Chrome management. And then device settings. And this is where you'll actually set up the app push. This is where you would also set up the single app kiosk mode, and I'll touch on that briefly. So you'll scroll down till you get to the right section, which is kiosk settings. And I'm right now at the root container, so you're not seeing that there's anything listed here, but if I go down, I'm just going to pick our students container. And you'll see that there are 3 kiosk apps available, and simply to add this in, you're simply going to manage your kiosk applications. Click on the Chrome Web Store. First, you're jumping around a little bit here. There you go. And type in your keyword and enter. And you can see the TestNav 8 is already added and is listed over here to the right. And once you save it here, I'm going to cancel because I don't want to make any changes right now. Once you save here and implement, then the app tray simply adds that application on the next policy refresh. Usually this is a couple of minutes. And that is all there is to actually pushing the app out. As I said, it's very simple, very straightforward. Then the students are able to use the actual TestNav app. And like I said, I'll show a screenshot once I finish up here. And so there are additional pieces to this, and these are pieces that we haven't yet implemented because we're finishing up our current testing session. But we were told by Pearson support that we need to move to what's called Pearson Access Next, which I believe is their next generation of the testing administration software. The reasoning for this is there are changes to the Proctor caching servers, and in addition, since we're all familiar with the response files that are kept during the student's actual test, in a Windows environment, those are kept on the Windows machine and then on a local, typically on a local file server. Chromebooks do store that primary response file on the local Chromebook itself, and there's a procedure for recovering those files in the Pearson documents. The secondary save location does not exist by default, and in order to configure that, you set up a secure FTP server that allows the secondary response file to be saved to that server location. And that is the piece that we're going to sit down and actually do some experimentation with over the summer, figure out exactly what we're going to set up. I spoke with Pearson support at length on this, and they don't require a secondary response file, but of course it's just good general practice. And they also don't require or recommend a specific secure FTP server, simply recommending you pick up a free one. I have downloaded several. The particular technician that I spoke with recommended I believe I spell it properly, Cygwin, C-Y-G-W-I-N. But he specifically also stated that any SFTP server would work, whether you buy one or use a free one. So I'm going to be testing several, including Rebex, Core, and SolarWinds puts one out. So we'll be testing those and experimenting to figure out exactly how many of those we need, where we're going to be putting them, and also reconfigure our Proctor caching servers, since they will work slightly different. The installation doesn't look any different, but the actual function does. And really, that is the extent of the configuration. Pushing, like I said, pushing this out to the actual Chromebooks is one of the easiest things I think I've done in a long time. Drew, if we could go back to the slide deck and share Glenn's screen. He has the screenshot of what our Chromebooks currently look like as far as the actual student experience for the Chromebooks. There we go. So you can see right there, when you boot the Chromebook up, before you even log in, right at the bottom next to shutdown is the app. I call it the app tray. And right now you can see in this particular Chromebook example, there are two applications, TestNav being one of them. There. So they click that, it launches automatically in a kiosk mode. The only way for the student to exit is to power the Chromebook off. So it really seems to work very well. We've had several of our technicians do some practice tests within TestNav, and it seems to work quite nicely. So far, we haven't seen any problems with the testing of the test program that we've done so far. And with that, I believe, Rob, I think you were going to talk about a few points.
This is Rob Yost, the Director of IT. One of the things, the selling points, we were able to push our one-to-one even further with our superintendent and our school board for funding was these statistics here, where these are the number of days we were currently spending, as you can see, in our schools for testing, and those were spread over, I mean, the middle school, the 17 days, that was pretty much probably 25 days because of just various factors. So that meant that impacted instructions greatly. As you can see, what we can reduce to the number of days is substantial, and that was huge for our superintendent. That middle school statistic, that 4 days, 5 days there, to reduce that from 17 was dramatic when it came to talking about our devices. And in looking at, I mean, as Ken mentioned earlier, we had nearly 12,000 devices. We will have, when we go one-to-one next year with our high schools, the cost of those devices at roughly $155 a piece is dramatic, along with these statistics. So that's what sold our superintendent, and also the fact that it saves our staff time. As most of you know, across the state, when we do testing, we have to prepare Windows devices. It was a dramatic process to get them done. With the preparing them, we were pulling old laptops off of shelves, so we had plenty of devices, and it just took a tremendous amount of time. We were so excited, and I mean, for Mike to spend a few minutes to push an app out to all of our devices, that's incredible when you think about it. So the use of these Chromebooks has not only helped us in our classrooms with collaboration, etc., but it also, with this ability next year to be able to test on them is tremendous. And I think we're turning it back over.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. So now I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so now we're going to ask a few different questions. And this is for the Frederick County team. I think this is something very important to think about as we're thinking about state testing and Chromebooks, but it's how do the students perceive testing on a Chromebook compared to what was done before?
I think when we talk about the perceptions of testing, one thing that's real important in terms of just the Chromebook itself is they need opportunities to use it in their learning. And I think that has helped that transition into using Chromebooks for testing. We do use Chromebooks for assessment right now. Teachers use Google Forms. They'll use other tools such as, well, we have a PAR dashboard so that we can see some of the things, but like a Pear Deck or other apps that they'll use for formative assessment along the way. So getting familiar with the Chromebook helps tremendously. So actually they don't see it or perceive it as testing, it's part of the instruction. So as we get into using them for testing, our feeling and just our input from teachers and students is it's just a tool that they're comfortable with and willing to use. The other piece of that with the testing is the whole prep side of that. Our assistant superintendent for instruction was concerned about, so are they going to lose time in class not being able to use the Chromebooks because you have to prepare them for testing? Well, as you heard Mike and both Ken say, that's not necessarily true. We can move it to a kiosk mode and then push that app out, and then that locks it down so that is used for testing. Then when testing is over, they can go back to use their Chromebook as they would any other time. So I think students are really more eager to use that as they're for SOL testing. I'm sure they're going to be pleased that it's not going to take the amount of days, the number of days it was taking. So we're pretty confident that it'll be an easy, smooth transition. However, as you saw, that go slow to go fast. We had to work slowly to get to that point.
Great. Thank you so much. So for this next piece, I know that we don't want to just focus on testing. So I wanted to ask, and all of you would be able to answer if you would like, is how has the incorporation of Chromebooks in the classroom impacted student achievement?
One of the things we've really been excited about is the collaboration with the students and their peer students within their classes. That is so exciting that we've been able to do that. The teacher being able to give immediate feedback to students has been another true benefit within the room. I know we talk to some of our students and we try to get feedback from them often. And one of the things they like is the fact that the teacher can give them feedback almost immediately. If they're in a Google Doc, etc., just being able to give that feedback. And peer feedback. Our teachers have incorporated that into their class, and that helps those students that are giving the feedback, understanding what the teacher is looking for, etc. The communication among our students and teachers has improved dramatically. One of the things we found is our teachers are helping our students even more because the ease of using Google to give that to respond to a student is needed. That has been another benefit that we're excited about.
Just to add one little piece to that, a key of what we do is it's not just about the Chromebook. The Chromebook is the tool. How the teacher uses it really does empower them. And the big thing we see, student engagement has grown tremendously because of that tool and the teacher and how they use it. And we always say that we focus on instruction, but it's powered by technology. The technology is the tool. It's not really the teacher. But we've had some teachers do some incredible things with the use of the Chromebook. But that's something we always consider with anything in the use of the Chromebook, that instruction needs to drive it.
Great. Thanks so much. So the next question is, I'm sure some people are thinking now, this all sounds great. What should I do next? So I'd like to ask, what resources would you share to get started?
And I can answer that. To get started, one of the things that we started doing immediately when we decided to go the route of using Google, even before we really had Chromebooks in our hands, was the ability we met with not only IT but with instruction also, and to collaborate with them and meet on a regular basis. We still, even today, meet every 2 weeks as a team to talk about issues that we're having, to work through them, to plan our future deployments, and to share what we're doing. Sometimes it's very good to hear some of the stories that we get back from teachers or students that this has just been wonderful. This is great. It's something I couldn't do before, and I know how to do it now, and it's helping me in the class. So that is our biggest thing, I think we would say, is the need to plan and meet as a team, and including instruction is a key point. And if we couldn't do this without their help, they couldn't do it without us.
Also, we attended Google Summits. That's really where we got interested in the use of Google. We attended a Google Summit in Charlottesville, Virginia, and as we, year after year, we went as participants in terms of watching. By the time we finished the second, third year, we were sending more teachers as presenters. So that just shows you that power of Google and how it can be used. And then you use your own resources, as Mr. Yo said. Again, it's all about good teaching, and that tool of the Chromebooks and Google Apps for Education are great. We are always willing to collaborate with folks. We've done Google Hangouts with school divisions all the way down in Virginia, up to parts of West Virginia, and actually we had a principal present at a Maryland conference. So we are more than happy to share, because that's how you grow, by seeing what's going on outside of your school division.
Great, thank you so much. Yeah, it's amazing how fast it can go from we're just getting started to this to where you're sending teachers to go present on your behalf. That is just awesome. So now we're going to move on to some questions from the audience. Looking at our shared doc, looks like there are several. So one was, they're asking about, do you keep the Chromebook in kiosk mode until testing is done, or do you turn it on and off each day? So would you please explain that?
Okay, sorry, I just want to make sure I'm muted there. This is Mike, and no, we don't actually force the single app kiosk mode on our Chromebooks. This is done because we don't want them to be testing only devices during that testing window. That way, student A can be taking a test, and student B can be using their Chromebook for regular classroom tasks. So that app tray simply allows them, when they walk into the testing center, okay, log out of your Chromebook, click on apps, click on test now. Test nav launches. It launches automatically in a kiosk mode, and then when they finish their test, they simply power the Chromebook off, power it back up, and they can log in with their normal account. So we haven't found a need to do that, and I certainly like this. And one thing that I did neglect to mention earlier, we do actually have the TestNav app blocked in the Chrome App Store for student accounts. And actually another school system suggested that, and we thought that was a good idea. This simply ensures that when you see a student sitting at a TestNav login screen, you know they launched it in that kiosk mode. They didn't log in and then launch TestNav.
Great, thank you so much for explaining that piece. This was an interesting question as well, and I know that it's already been answered a little bit, but maybe if you would expand upon it a little bit more, it's, will you test on the same Chromebooks you allow students to take home? If so, how will you ensure they bring them back? I think that's a very interesting thing to think about as more and more districts are allowing students to take the devices home.
Yeah, this is Ken Melnikoff. You know, it's a good question. I think we got that a lot when we decided to let the students take their Chromebooks home just on a regular basis. We do have the administration in the building make it very aware to the parents and to the students that our Chromebooks are very similar to, or almost just like, a textbook. It's a tool that you need during your class. It's a tool that may not be out all the time, but it's a necessity to have with you at all times. Just like we talk about textbooks, paper and pencil, the same thing. It's not always out, you're not always using it, but it needs to be available. So we do not see a lot of students leaving their Chromebooks at home on a regular basis. Although we knew it would happen, so we do have spares in the building, and we did build spares into all of our numbers when it came to budgeting. We have those spares available to be checked out by an individual in the building or a couple, so that it is, in inventory, and we know the students that are doing it. But we will be testing on one-to-one devices, and 6 through 12 will be taking them home every day to do their other work that they need. So, like I said, it really just becomes a change in just the way that things are done in the school. So I think that as long as you communicate with your administration and everyone is on the same page, parents will know. You'll see the Chromebooks will come back on a daily basis.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So that is all of our time for today. Thank you so much to the Frederick County team. So much appreciate all of your contributions. You've just been amazing. So thank you again. If you do have questions or would like to continue the conversation, please feel free to add them in the doc, and we'll continue to answer those throughout the day and to add our resources. One other piece that I would like to ask is, if you are an educator and you've developed some amazing resources or best practices, please feel free to share those as well. At the very bottom of the screen, there's a place for resources from Frederick County and then resources from our educators. So if you're passionate, if you've developed some things and you would like to share those with the group, please do so there. That is always much appreciated. And from the Google for Education team, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you soon. And thank you so much again to the Frederick County team. So now we will say goodbye. So look forward to seeing you soon. If you would, before you hop off today, we do have a feedback form that I would encourage everyone to fill out. And there are some really exciting opportunities here. One is that you'll get to share some product feedback directly with the Google teams. So if there's a feature that you love or something that you would love to see added, please complete this. You'll be able to ask any questions you have of Google for Education in this feedback form as well, and we'll make sure to be responsive. So I would encourage everyone, please do fill out this feedback form. This is a short link and it is case sensitive, so I'll leave that open for a moment. And I'm adding this feedback form to our shared document as well. So I'll put that at the top. And that's all. So from all of us, thank you so much. Goodbye.